where it creates fusion of dances. Now there's it's a big political thing going on in the underground world, which I really don't care about. But my question is, what is your feeling on fusion of dance styles? And this goes to all three.
All right, so there is a lot of opinions, about fusion dance. And fusion dance is nothing new to urban dance as we talk about fusion. Okay, so I just want to be very specific about that. As an educator and as a teacher who teaches students, both adults and youth, I think it's very important before you start to fuse anything that you understand the history and the core elements of what makes these dance styles what they are for the music and the actual movement before you start fusing it. There's nothing wrong with fusing. But again, coming from an educational standpoint, I think it's important before you teach a fusion class, particularly to a young dancer, that you need to teach them what is popping, what is locking, what is house. Because all these different urban dance styles that we do in the club, in the studios, the music, they all have a very specific history and background, which should be taught. You should know. B-boying has its own culture. House has its own culture. So again, there's nothing wrong with fusing it, but know where these dances come from. Know about the communities that had inspired these particular dances. As an artist, don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. But as an educator, you owe it not just to yourself, but you owe it to your community and to the people that are coming up after you, how you got here. So that's what's important to me. That's my take on that.
Pretty much to answer your question, I think you just have to look around this room and all the performances, all the things that we've seen this evening pretty much should answer you. It really doesn't matter. The music, that wasn't me, but the way that like the music that I experienced coming up that we were dancing to is like the way we danced, the way it was done, however style that you may have. The music pretty much dictated like what you did, and God given, there's really no name for these things. We just did it. I just did it. If you ask me, I would just have to show you, but there's no name for it. So no matter however the music may grow, evolve, whatnot, yes, the dance will also evolve and it will change for whatever it's worth. You know what I mean? Fusion, it's nothing but a name. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's nothing but a name. If you see it, you like it, you do it, done. Call it quit. It's all about the music. Like I said, look around this room, tap dancing. Like I've seen, every performance I've seen so far. It's like nobody does like nobody. Like each person has a very unique movement based on their height. It's like all these things foster into it. You know what I mean? But there's no name. Fusion, don't get caught up in the name. Just do what you do, love what you love. Done.
On two accords, to answer your question, you have to understand that what we're doing is underground, okay? there's underground movements in all cultures. All right? So there's underground movement and then there's commerce. And so what has happened is there are people like, speaking to the brother that knows that, the 1% that are controlling, and when they could tap and profit off of the underground, they could. And then when they needed to change it to increase their profit margins, then the music changed. Because people know, like way up in the Bronx, a lot of the break dancers, how they started getting into house is because all the break dancing places started stopping. And so then they had to go to the underground places. And the underground places that played the good music happened to be, more the gay clubs. And so then you had these house dancers, or actually hip hop dancers, that then became what called house dancers and lofters and all this kind of stuff, because the music changed, the industry's changed. The underground didn't change, but people that control the music, because we can all keep it real, they control the music as far as a commercial element. And there's a love-hate for it, just to be honest, because there's people that find a way to still have joy in it. And like you said, being a backup dancer, you're still finding the joy in it, and you should embrace that journey while it is. And then while you're doing it, take all of those fruits and take it to the next place. And then take it to the next place. But some of the greatest fusion dancers, I don't know if people remember, but the Nicholas brothers were some of the greatest fusion artists that there were. Bill Bojangles Robinson was one of the greatest fusion dancers. So to go back to them, fusion is nothing new. Negro slaves dancing a jig from the Irish, and then had 10 cans on their shoes. That's fusion. African dance, when y'all see it in church, beginning, I don't care where you come from, when you get in one of these and you're feeling the Holy Ghost, that's fusion. And because you got to understand that it's total recall. Being, from the African community, being, a drummer, doing traditional West African dances and stuff like that, that's total recall. That's taking it way, way back. I know when I really got into it, some of my brothers is like, man, he is really Africa. He's doing his African thing right now. He's getting this life. But again, that fusion is what helped lead me into finding my voice. So that's what I want to say is like, find whatever fusion that's going on inside and embrace it, because then that can be the next element into what might make you the one shining star that might be seen a little bit different. And that can give you your edge, because Joe will tell you, when you're out in LA, you got to be hungry. You got to be 10 times hungrier than the hungriest person that's hungry, and be looking at their plate like, man, I'm hungry. I mean, for real. I mean, it's, when you go to cattle calls, I remember I went to a Stomp cattle call. The line was all the way around the block. I don't know if y'all remember what Stomp was, or, if you had a chance, opportunity to see it. But I remember going to that call, and all the way, they're typecast and everything. And those people are hungry. So be hungry in whatever pursuit it is, whether it's fusion, and don't get caught up in the semantics, man. Be true to yourself, that voice inside, and just surround yourself with positive people, and just keep on plugging it on.
Back when you were coming up, learning dance, very hungry, you all talked about this hunger that you have, this motivation that pushed you to travel for hours, be on the road. What did you want? What did you look for in dance, and did you have it? And then now, what do you look for in dance, and is it there, or does it still need to be created for you?
All right, I'll go ahead and start. Being from Baltimore City, growing up there, I didn't have a lot of opportunities myself to do a lot of things. I didn't have any theater clubs, couldn't really hang out at the playground. There were, drug dealers on the corner, and it wasn't safe to go out at night. And so all I had was dance. And part of my personal story, I would actually lie to my mom about schoolwork, that I had to do some extra schoolwork just so I could stay at home and not go to church, so I could maybe just dance a little bit. because that was all I had to actually express myself. And for anyone that know me outside of the dance studio or outside of the club, I'm actually a very shy person. So dance was my way of telling people how I felt. It was a way to tell you who I was. And I still have that. You know, I would never lose that. And going back to what we always talk about, it was because of the music. And when you fall in love with the music, your movement and your creativity becomes endless. So because I love music, my love for movement hasn't changed. And, you know, it doesn't matter, I want to say this, it doesn't matter if you go to the club or if you're ciphering on the street or if you're in the studio with your headset, you're still a part of the community. You're still a part of dance. It doesn't make you any more or any less.
What's the question again?
So back in the day, what did you look for in dance, and what's there, and then now?
I was actually sitting there pondering, like, marinate on that question, because what you said, I didn't choose dance. Dance chose me. I didn't choose house music. House music chose me. I didn't choose the clubs. The clubs chose me. And it's something I just finally came to grips with just a few moments ago, because the movement, they happen on their own. You know what I mean? And life is like they say, if life gives you lemon, you make lemonades. It's, you know, it's like, it's very conceptual, because it's something that you can't put words to. That's one of the reasons why, before I talked to Joseph about doing this, he told me a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, something that it's a very sacred subject, the art of music and dance, that I have to be careful about my words, the way to choose it. So the dance, the hunger, just the way, like, I'm shaking right now, because that's it. When you hear the music and you move, that's what it feels like. I remember one of my boys told me one day, he said I look like when the Zulu warrior's like about to go to battle, as part of my French. Because that's how it feels. It's just that drive when you move. Like your feet, like when you stomp. It's not something you intentionally do, because the music breathes you and it feeds you. And that stays with you for the rest of your life. Remember I said, a body in motion remains in motion. Body in rest remains at rest. You know what I mean? It stays with you. I DJ now, but it doesn't mean I'm not a dancer anymore. What I do, like, let's say something is going wrong with my life right now, and I need a release. I'll put on the darkest clothes I can find, because I don't want to fuck with anybody. I don't want to talk to nobody. I go in the corner, got my baby powder, and I will spend the next 8 hours. And when I leave that night, I'm a new man. Did I answer your question? Sorry, I got lost. Sorry.
I'm gonna try to make it quick. There's just a hunger and a passion. And we're all dancers, we know and we feel that. Me personally, it is, you know, dance to me is kind of like a girlfriend that's always there. Dance to me is like a mistress that's always there. It's like no matter what is going on, and it's also church. Like, you know, I joke and I'm like, hey, I gotta go to church. Church can be wherever it needs to be inside yourself, whether it is fellowship, going to another place, a body, a building. That's what it is for me. When I go dance, when I go to the club, I'm like, man, I need to go to church. It's like what he said, I need to get some salvation. I need to let this music let me free, to let my soul be at peace. So if I have to drive 2 hours, that ain't nothing but a wink in the eye in the eyes of the Lord, right? So I can drive that 2 hours, because then my fellowship with the people on the floor that inspire me, with my brothers, is like, man, it's good to see you. I know you've traveled. So then they, you know, yeah, come on, let's get it. You know, and so that's what it was like then, and guess what? That's what it's like now. You know, but now it's like, okay, there's still that part of it, but then there's also the part of it is like, okay, how can I reach out to the community now? How can I reach out and maybe inspire some other young brothers and sisters in everywhere? Because also what happens is dancing, to go back to a little bit of that other question, is that regionally, dance is different. Like dance in New York is different. Dance, what we need to embrace and really push forward, dance in the DMV is hot. Like straight up, give yourselves a round of applause, because we take this all over the world, straight up. Don't care who you come from to nothing. You know, and then hey, when you go down south, they got the booty bop. You know what I'm saying? When you go to Chicago, shout out to people from Chi-Town. Chicago, my girl from Jersey. You from Zanzibar, Jersey. You know, when you get to LA and you get to, you know, other places. And so all of that is an amalgamation, and it all is encompassing. But embrace wherever you are, and then keep searching out, because then you bring it back home to church, and then how you put it all together and how that can free everything inside of you just takes everything to another level.